Somehow, my daughters fell in love with Formula One. I don't know how or why, but I'm not arguing. They may not know wheel, but does anyone?
Hi, and welcome to the We Don't Know Wheel F1 podcast. I'm Anne.
And I'm Grace. We're two sisters who got obsessed with Formula One and decided to make a podcast so we can force all our friends and family listen to us talk about Formula One too.
And on this beautiful snowy day from Minnesota, we decided as a kind of end of the season goofy podcast, we should try and give the drivers some superlatives for the season.
Yeah, Anne's a teacher, so it just makes sense. Anne, why don't you explain what a superlative is for those who may not know?
Yeah, so which to be fair, when I was telling our mom about this idea, she didn't know what I meant. But in the United States, at least, it's where in high school, when kids are graduating, they get their yearbook at the end of the year. They will have earlier on in the year voted for different most likely to, and then they have all different categories that you can vote for. So I remember our sister Maddie got voted, I think, like most likely to win a Nobel Prize.
Yes, I think that's true.
Yeah.
I was voted nothing. I was not in high school enough to be voted for anything.
Well, you kind of chose that for yourself, but yeah.
That's true.
I was, I think, runner up for most likely to write a book.
That sounds true.
And
No,
I don't think Perpich had superlatives.
They're too alternative to have.
They might not even have had a yearbook, to be fair, for Sarah.
Sarah went to an art school. She does her own thing. But so we've made a list. We're going to screen share, but we'll also talk through these. And they're just like ideas we had for what superlatives could be. And then we're going to try and match up the drivers and see where we get. So
or just at least come up with at least one idea for each one. Sarah and Grace and came up with a list, and Jamie threw in a couple ideas as well. So I'm excited.
So let's get into it. Here's our list of superlatives. So we start out, I think we should actually come to this one maybe later on in the list, but hottest in the office. That's a little throwback to The Office. And I thought that one might be nice and hotly contested.
I was about to ask you where that came from in The Office, and then I remembered the Dundies.
Yes. Hottest in the office.
Good old Ryan Howard.
Yeah. So I was thinking that like when I was coming up with these ideas, I was trying to think of ones that would be that you could think of multiple people for.
I like it.
So
should we how about we come back to hottest in the office to the last one?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
Let's start with cutest couple. That feels like a classic.
Ooh.
Cutest couple. So mind, what?
I was just about to say, if we're doing actual like Formula One drivers and their girlfriends or wives,
No.
We may have lost a top contender in the last couple of weeks.
No, I was gonna say that it should be Formula One drivers and their best friends.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think okay. Carlando obviously is a hot one.
Yes.
Daniel and Max, that's a big one.
Maxiel.
There was another one though that I was
Yuki
like,
and Pierre.
Yuki and Pierre was who I actually think should be cutest couple.
I would vote for Yuki and Pierre.
I think for this year it's Yuki and Pierre.
Yes. Especially because they're the only ones out of that list that are on the same team together.
Yeah.
I don't know if they would win like all time, but for this year, 100%.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Okay. Let's do class clown.
Sure. I don't know if there's anyone else to put besides Danny Rick.
Oh, wow. And just go straight into Danny Rick. I would have said Yuki, actually.
But, okay. Yuki is wonderful. I feel like Yuki is is the class clown without ever trying to be the class clown. He's just himself, and other people find him really funny. Danny, like,
He wants to be the class
he
clown.
wants to be the class clown in the best way.
That's a good point.
In the
That's a
best
good
way.
point. Okay.
We need a tie-breaking vote on this thing. But both
I'm worried
Sarah
I'm gonna
and
spell
Jamie
their
are
names
working.
wrong. What?
I know spelling their names is intimidating. But yeah, I wish we had a third vote. Okay. Should we move on to most likely to get expelled?
Most likely to get expelled. I'm excited for that one.
Oh boy.
What are you thinking?
Okay, and are we keeping this just 2 drivers on the grid this past year?
Yes, it's this
Okay.
past year. That's the whole point of this.
Would Nikita Mazepin count because he would have been on the grid this year?
No. No.
Okay.
Get out of here.
Most likely to get expelled.
Okay. Well, Pierre, because he
I
has
was
the most
about to
points
say
against
that.
his license. Let's see.
I heard Lando telling some story about like getting in trouble at school where he like got suspended, but then he immediately was saying like, it wasn't my fault. It was this other person's fault.
Of
And I just got
course.
in trouble for it.
I would have said Alonso. That's another hot, most likely to get expelled for me.
Yeah. Yeah. I would be down with
But like, would Alonso
either
get caught?
Pierre or
Or is it
Alonso.
Ocon? Because Ocon, he's kind of a fiery guy. He might get into a fight. Actually, that would actually be Max.
Oh, yeah, Max would get into a fight.
Most likely to get expelled. Yeah.
I think I changed my vote to Max.
Especially Max.
Especially after how he reacted in Brazil.
Ooh, he's been called out. Okay, I'm putting down Verstappen, but I think we can play with this as things get more interesting.
Are we making a
Most-
rule that a driver cannot be used twice?
Yeah.
Okay.
Most likely to get kicked out of the country. I love this one.
Alonso.
Who did I come up with? It's Sarah and I who were thinking of this. I think Gasly is high on the list. I think Who do you think, Anne?
I think Alonso would be high on the list for this.
For being a spy.
We're doing just whatever he wants to do.
Let's come back to this one.
Yeah, that's a tricky one.
Okay. Let's do most likely to join Greenpeace because I think we all know the answer to this one. Or I think there's an obvious answer.
I have an obvious answer. Should we say it at the same time?
Is it Vettel?
Oh no, I was thinking
What was
Alex
yours?
Albon.
That's a good one too.
Right? But Vettel is better. But if we need Vettel for something else later, we can keep Alex as a backup.
Okay. Yeah. Vettel
Most
for
likely.
now. Most likely to sleep through a race.
Lando?
That's kind of what I thought as well. He's definitely kind of a sleepyhead. I like that about him. Anne and I have been meeting even outside of this podcast, and I'm I recently found out about myself that I'm a huge Lando Norris fan because
That is not how you said it to me.
How did I say it to you?
To me it sounded more like you were coming around to the idea of Lando a little more.
I've surprised myself, and it turns out I'm a huge Lando Norris fan. And I mean, one, he's obviously a very good driver, but I think I've just realized that I like that he's like, I'm serious about driving. I really like it, but I really like a lot of stuff. And he's kind of like a little bit of a straight shooter. I don't
He
know.
definitely is.
I'm a Lando fan. Come at me. I'm a Lando girly now. Okay.
If this was next year, Oscar Piastri is apparently also one of those people that can just like sleep anywhere.
I'm so jealous.
Right? Oh my god. I swear it takes me like half an hour to fall asleep every night.
Yeah. I wanna be one of those easy sleepers.
For real. Most likely to become a motivational speaker is the next one.
What do you think?
I think Seb would fit there easily.
I was gonna say Hamilton is what I think.
Yes.
You
Yes.
hear it and you're like, he already is. Like
he totally is.
He's like that was a big beef I had with the most recent season of Drive to Survive, was like, why did they make that whole season like Red Bull versus Mercedes? It was literally the most boring of the storylines. And not in that it wasn't like an interesting thing to watch as a season progressed, but it was more like Max won't be on Drive to Survive. And Hamilton is like the ultimate, like, he's always like there with his like Hamiltonisms, if you will. Like he's like
thought out
put your head down and
motivational
try your
quotes.
best. What?
Yes. His thought out motivational quotes.
Yes. Like the man is a walking motivational quote. So
yes.
like that season was so boring. I was like, why would you do this to us? There was so much more interesting stuff happening. And instead, we have to watch Hamilton talk for like 3 episodes about it. Was like, yeah, that's great, but I don't need 3 episodes of him being like, I'm just a really hard worker. I'm really focused. And it was like, yeah, I know you're a winner. Like, of course you are. And then no side of Max. It was just, to me, no. Drive to Survive, don't do me dirty like that again.
To be fair to Drive to Survive, it was like the biggest and really truly only talking point of most of the racing that was happening last year. I think like 2021.
They could have come up with
everything else came second to it.
Yeah, but I still think it was literally like 3 full episodes. Like they should never have done that. It should have been at a max 2 and probably just 1.
Yeah.
That's my professional opinion.
But also like the biggest crashes of the year, Silverstone and Monza, were both the 2 of them. Can't really ignore that either.
Yeah. But it's like so boring if you can't have Max in it. They like, that's the whole point. I would say, like, if you think about the first season of Drive to Survive, they didn't have Mercedes and they didn't have Ferrari. So like, what did they do? They went and found the story at Haas.
But also there wasn't that much of a title fight between Mercedes and Ferrari.
No, there wasn't.
There wasn't a title fight until 2021.
Yes. But I mean, Vettel was always trying to fight.
Yeah. To the extent that he could.
Yes. But they weren't like, oh, let's make a story about Vettel trying to turn around Ferrari, because they didn't have access. So don't try to make the story about a thing that you don't even have access to. That's my
yeah.
Okay. Most likely to start a band.
Are any of them known musicians?
I feel like, let's just talk like joking around. Who's starting a band? I think it's George Russell.
I was gonna say Danny Rick.
It's not Danny Rick.
I want to hear your George Russell explanation, Grace.
I just feel like he's the kind of guy who, like, in high school, like, would have had a band, because it's like a fun thing to do. You get to hang out with your bros. It's a good way to meet girls. Like,
I feel like he's too posh for it.
Is he posh though?
Yes.
But his voice is posh, but is he actually posh?
I think he is. Or at least that's the way he presents himself.
But I think actually he doesn't come from like a ton of money. I think his
I don't
family
know.
had to like I just listened to his Beyond the Grid episode maybe like a
Yeah.
few weeks ago. I actually don't think he's as posh as you think, but he does present as very posh.
Yeah. Which I feel like the fact that he presents that way makes him more likely that he would not start a band.
This is like a different George Russell. This is a George Russell of the teen years. Oh, my other one would be Albon. I think Albon might start a band as well.
Yes. I'd be down for Albon.
I'm going to put Albon down for now. I just feel like Albon, he seems like he enjoys just having fun, hanging out with his friends. That's why him and Lando are friends. That's why he's friends with George. I think those guys, obviously that was the whole joke, like the Twitch streamer band.
Yes. The Twitch quartet.
Yes. So yeah, I mean, I feel like Albon, he likes to have fun. I've been enjoying watching his off-season content, and I've been enjoying watching his off-season content. I've been enjoying, he went to an orphanage in Thailand that Yost was like associated with. Like they went
his
together.
brother
And
helps
then
like run the organization.
Yes. And now Yost is leaving Williams. What is happening?
I
The
know.
team principal silly season is insane.
I love the tweets of people joking about how the team principals had seen all of the drama from the drivers. Silly season. They're like, we need to have that too.
Yes. Oh my gosh.
Which all of it is okay. I will say I was not surprised by Benito leaving Ferrari.
I was. That was the dumbest thing I've ever seen Ferrari do. I'm just kidding. I don't know why now I'm like a huge Mattia Benito fan, but I'm like, how could they do him so dirty?
I was not surprised about Fred Vasseur replacing him at Ferrari.
I feel like it's nuts.
Really?
I don't know. I don't know.
I think it is a statement that Ferrari is putting all their chips behind Charles Leclerc. That's what I think.
I hate that for Carlos Sainz.
Hey, I'm a Checo fan. Think about what I have to deal with, Grace.
Okay.
I was surprised that Andrea Seidel is going to what will become Audi.
Yes, me too.
Very surprised by that. Which I've then, since this has come out, heard rumblings of like, is Andrea Seidel going to try and get Lando to come to Audi before it turns to Audi in 2026 when Lando's contract runs in 2025? And it's like McLaren only has a couple more years to show Lando that like they can give him a car good enough to win.
Which is super interesting because that Beyond the Grid episode with Lando that I listened to, he was basically just like, yeah, I think like the whole point is you just get in and like I may be here for a long time trying to get this car working. And I'm like, that is really not what I would have thought Lando Norris would say, but it's very cool to hear him say it.
For sure. And he is such a like straight shooter that he's not like presenting a line about wanting to like be loyal to his team.
No. He would
say if he felt differently.
Yeah.
As
I wonder if he's getting paid a lot.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
Right?
He's getting paid a lot.
But yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna skip one. Let's say most likely to never be heard from again.
I mean, Kimi, but he didn't race this year.
I know, I love that.
And I literally never heard from him this year, except I saw that he went and drove in a NASCAR race once.
I want to say Latifi or Magnussen. I feel like Magnussen seems like the kind where he like when he's done, he would just be like, I'm never talking to any of you again.
You mean the drivers or the press or
the whole thing? He would just be like, I'm done. Like he wouldn't be like he would be like no hard feelings, but I'm never talking to any of you again. You're not my real friends.
I'm gonna go spend time with my family.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think those are both good choices. I feel like Seb might do it.
Seb's already on the list. He's joined Greenpeace.
Yeah.
I also think Seb will be back.
Yeah. And well, yeah.
I'm putting Magnuson
he
down.
has still been like posting old pictures of his gardening career on Instagram.
Yeah. I don't know that we've seen the last of Seb.
No.
Okay. Most likely to marry into a royal family. I feel this is Charles Leclerc. And
Oh, I was thinking George Russell.
Stop it.
Gosh. I've also maybe been watching the Harry and Meghan documentary today. So the British royal family is in my head a little bit. Yeah, I could see Charles Leclerc.
I think it's Charles Leclerc. I feel like he
Yeah.
is giving that like so cute a princess would be like, I want to marry him. And he's so like nice and like well spoken. I feel like it's Leclerc.
It's very difficult to not like him. Unless you're mom.
I'm with mom. No. Okay. Most likely to live off the grid. I have an answer in my head.
Oh, I have an answer.
Okay.
Valtteri.
Can you go on the count of 3?
I already said it. Sorry.
Did you say Valtteri?
Yeah.
I agree. Valtteri. We think alike.
Sorry, I should have waited.
No, I mean, I'm with you. Oh. Okay. Bottas. These 3 all are like the same thing, so it's a difficult one. Most likely to get into a fight with his teammate. Most likely to chip away at his teammate's will to live.
I have a different answer for that.
Most likely to write a tell-all memoir.
I feel like that could be completely unrelated.
Okay, let's hear your 3 up. Let's hear them, Anne.
Okay. For most likely to get into a fight with his teammate, it is none other than Esti Besti.
I agree. Okay.
Totally.
I was gonna say like it's obviously Alonso, but I think Esti Besti is a good option.
Which the really crazy part is that they haven't fought more with each other when they've been teammates the past 2 years.
Yeah.
I'm not quite sure how Otmar navigated that one, but because then for most likely to slowly chip away at his teammates' will to live, I will put Alonso.
That's where Alonso falls.
Yes.
He wants to.
There are stories about like when he was back at like McLaren in its winning days
With
and Ferrari
Hamilton.
in its winning days, he would not only like try and get the team to support him more, he would like play mind games with his teammates is what people say.
Oh yeah. Yes. That one was very much like written for Alonso. Sorry, it's true and I'm gonna say it. There's
a YouTube show that the Vikings do sometimes called 96 Questions, where one of the players who's now retired, Brian Robinson, who is number 96, he will have like a question and he'll go around the locker room asking all of the guys in the locker room the question, and it's usually is like specific to one person, or sorry, it's asking them to name a person that would be like most likely to do something. And there were a couple of episodes that have been made of this show back when Stefan Diggs was on the team that the question was clearly written for most everybody to hear and go, oh, Diggs.
Oh my gosh.
Like, the funniest one was they did one of like, who would you most not want your sister to date?
Oh, I've seen this.
Great fun.
Oh my gosh. Okay. I'm gonna skip most likely to write a tell-all memoir because I'd like to come back to that one. And I want to say most likely to take over the FIA.
I want to say Seb.
You can't say Seb for every answer.
This is where we're gonna have to like negotiate here.
I think George is a very good answer for this.
Ooh, yeah. Yeah. I'm down.
He's posh enough. Do you like everyone else's last names on here? And then I'm like, George. Yeah,
Well, you
George
also put
Russell.
Yuki and Pierre. You'll have to change that later.
Where? Oh,
I put
whatever.
them top.
They're on a first name basis with me. Okay. How about this one's another one that's maybe too obvious, but I like it. Most likely to make a wrong turn and blame it on the car.
Latifi, because it literally happened this year, Grace.
I like it though. Okay, now let's fill in some of these ones we've struggled with. So,
Yes.
or that we've put away. Most likely to write a tell-all memoir. Do you have an idea here? Maybe Perez.
I was just thinking that. Yeah. But it would
After
be
he
like
leaves Red
in
Bull and
Spanish,
retires.
and it would be like mostly just distributed in Mexico.
Oh, that's how you see it?
Yeah. And he even like there's a documentary series made about him that I think is only in Mexico. That's all in Spanish.
But I feel like that's like not that uncommon. Like the Sciences have a documentary series as well.
Max has one. But I think part of the reason, or part of my thought process behind it being in Spanish, is he is one of the drivers that I think is less comfortable with English, and you can kind of tell it in his interviews sometimes.
Well, I can see him being a little bit of a gossip. I think that's why I picked him for this.
That's fair.
You know, I see him out there being like, I couldn't say much when I was in it, but I'm retired. Let me tell you what really happened. And I like that for him. He needs that. He's gone through some stuff. So I would read his book.
Yeah, for real.
Okay. How about
Okay. What was our other option we were thinking of for class clown?
Yuki?
And Yuki's already been taken.
Yeah. I think those two, the cutest couple, they could get reshuffled out onto the grid.
Mm-hmm. Well, who would we? Oh, okay. So you're saying we can keep Yuki and Pierre for a cutest couple, but also give them something else?
Yeah.
Because the most likely to star in a reality show, I feel like that has to be Danny Rick.
I think that it actually should be Yuki. But also, I want to bring something up here.
It could be Yuki doing a cooking show.
Yeah, it would be good. Schumacher is nowhere to be found on here, so I think we have to find a place for him.
We gotta add Mick.
Schumacher and Stroll are missing, and so is Sainz, which I feel like is being held for hottest in the office.
You're holding it for hottest in the office,
I'm
Grace.
not. I'm just saying that it would be a good fit.
Okay. I'd like to nominate Mick for most likely to start their own racing team.
I wanted to nominate Stroll.
Because his dad's going to pay for it.
Because he literally has. And I think that Mick should get most likely to star in their own reality TV show.
I don't know about that one because like their family's so private.
But they literally have a Netflix documentary about them.
Yeah, but it's not about Mick. It's about his dad.
But Mick's in it.
It says star.
Okay. Okay. If anyone's starring in a Netflix in a reality TV show, personally, I feel that it's Yuki, and I would watch it.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay, I'm putting Yuki down for that one.
Perfect.
Oh, I need to put his last name. I'll get this right. Did I spell it right?
Looks right to me.
Noda. Okay. Who's winning a Nobel Prize? None of these guys. So sorry.
No. Seb, except he's already going to join Greenpeace.
Seb is joining Greenpeace. So
and I also feel like
trouble.
Seb could totally start his own racing team.
Yeah. Yeah.
Maybe it's because Seb's retiring. We can imagine him doing all
we
of
can
these
imagine
other
him
things
in many
now.
different roles. Oh, you know who is still missing from this is Joe.
Yeah.
He could also win hottest in the office.
He could also win most likely to turn to you and then turn into you and then apologize.
He could. I don't see him starting his own racing team yet.
No.
I'm going to put him up here with most likely to turn
I
into you.
apologize.
This was really written for Russell, but I think
I was thinking Charles for that one. What?
No, yeah. I like them all. It could have been for Schumacher.
Oh, it totally could have been for Schumacher. Oh, we don't have Schumacher on here like yet.
Nope.
I would vote Schumacher for starting their own racing team.
Okay. There's a lot to talk about with him joining Mercedes as a reserve driver too.
Yeah, I'm excited for him. Hopefully he'll be
care.
happier there than at Haas.
Did I spell that right?
Looks right to me.
Okay. It auto-corrected.
It is a rather well-known name. Okay, is Stroll the only one we don't have on here?
Yeah, he's gonna win a Nobel Prize.
Most likely get kicked out of the country.
Oh. He seems so nice though. It doesn't really fit. This should really be Hulkenberg.
Yes, that's who it should be.
He did drive. Got some points.
Then can we add De Vries onto the list?
Yeah. Is that right?
Yeah.
De Vries might win a Nobel Prize.
I don't know enough about him to know if he's that smart.
I just listened to his Beyond the Grid as well. And that one,
he's great.
Seems really together.
Yes.
Well,
Okay.
where are you gonna put him? He could be hottest in the office. He's like he was the most beloved. And then Science could win a Nobel Prize.
Is Science one that you were saying like his parents made him finish school?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe we should do that for
I think he maybe could win a Nobel Prize in cars.
Yeah. But we still don't have a spot for Stroll.
Poor Stroll. Maybe Schumacher and Stroll start a team together because they use Stroll's money.
There we go.
That's so good.
Or can you come up with any other ideas of a superlative we could write just for Stroll?
What would your superlative for him be?
Oh man.
Most likely to never be thought of again. That's so mean.
The only ones I'm thinking of are like really mean.
Is it spelled like this? De Vries?
The second half is not right. It might be just ES or EES.
I'll look it up.
I
got it. It's like De Vries.
IES.
Yeah, I'm struggling with this a little bit. Give me a sec.
If we change the most likely to sleep through a race to most likely to miss a race to go surfing.
Oh my gosh. I like that.
Could be Stroll. Then we need another spot for Norris.
What's Norris's?
He's most likely to sleep through a race.
Okay, let's do this. Oops, sorry. I'm struggling. Most likely to, because the surf
was on.
like that.
Love it.
Probably Stroll should just go into surfing. Give up on cars. It's not mean. It's just I'm trying to give him like good life advice. I think he'd be happier. He seems like too much of, I actually really like that insight, Anne, because I do think that he is maybe like too much of a surfer to really like fit into the grid. Like he's just way too low key.
Yes.
He's too chilled out.
And all of the rest of them are so insanely competitive. And I think he
and it's
is
probably
competitive, but it's not to the same degree.
Yeah, you feel like, I'm sorry. You feel like he is just doing this because his dad loves racing. I Googled Nick DeVries to find out how to spell his name. And there's a Nick DeVries who's a ceramic artist in Minneapolis in Northeast. That's the first thing that came up.
Well, did you spell his name with a I or a Y?
He spelled his name with an I, and that's how I went wrong, because I spelled it wrong. Even I knew I was spelling it wrong, but I was just like, I'm sure that Nick DeVries, the right one, will pop up. And now I'm realizing no. And also, is it spelled like the last name is like
it
that?
Might be
lowercase d, DeVries.
Is it?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
For Wikipedia.
Good to know. But no, getting back to Stroll, I think there are a lot of drivers on the grid who genuinely like him as a person because he's so like chilled out.
Yeah.
But it makes him not that interesting or exciting as a racing driver to be a fan of.
Yes. I have to agree with you. There's a reason he has very little fan fiction out there. I have actually read some Stroll fan fiction that I thought was quite good. But it's always in the context of like some other drivers being a jerk or something like that. Also, okay, just to get into the fan fiction of it all very briefly. I don't know if I've talked about this, but I think I have. In almost every fan fiction, Mick Schumacher is your best friend. And we've talked about this. But where is the Yuki is my best friend fan fiction?
Yeah, I want to be
best
friends with
Why would you not write that? He's literally like that's what his superlative should be. Most likely to be your BFF.
Yes.
100%. I'm actually going to change his because I think that's really good.
Yes. What do we have? Most likely star in their own reality show. Yeah. I love it.
He's your BFF.
Which he's also one of the
He's the best
only drivers in Drive to Survive that they show just like doing stuff with their friends where it's like legitimately friends and not people who are like on their team. Because they show it's like him and it's another like Red Bull Academy driver. When they're like helping him when they're like packing up his house
and they're like, this is disgusting.
Yes.
Yeah, that was good.
Like he has a friend there. And yeah. No. I agree with the being BFFs.
Yeah. Okay, well now if we're gonna write them for people, let me say this. Alex Albon, most likely to get another cat.
I mean, I think that's a guarantee at this point.
You're like, that's not a superlative, that's a known fact. Most likely to start an animal sanctuary after he retires.
I've got one.
Okay, let's hear it.
For Checo. Most likely to never live in Monaco.
Is that his thing?
Well, so many of the drivers moved to Monaco, partly for tax purposes. And he's just like, I don't think he'll ever move out of Mexico.
Okay. I thought there was going to be like a story there where he was like,
No.
forget Monaco. That place sucks. I love that you're just like, he just doesn't like it. He likes Mexico.
I think it, to me, it's a reflection of how much he loves his country.
That's true. I like that. Well, what do you think about where we've settled this list?
I like it. I'm looking through it, trying to see if I can think of anything better for any of the ones that are on the list.
I actually think Nick DeVries' Hottest in the Office is actually like very, very good.
He's very cute.
It's very like in the spirit of The Office, but it's also like I loved like everyone was so happy for him when he got to drive for Williams. Like it was literally like every other driver on the grid was just like Nick DeVries.
They're all coming up to him after the race and like patting him on the shoulders, and
yeah,
he's the one that got delivered to AlphaTauri, right?
yes. They literally like put him on a little like gurney and rolled him down there. Like that's cute. I like that.
After
I'm very
dumping him in
excited
the
for
harbor.
him. What?
They also dumped him in the harbor first.
Yes, I'm very excited for him to be
Yeah.
on the grid next year.
It's gonna be
I
fun.
look forward to it.
And I think he and Yuki are gonna be good buds.
I know. I'm very interested to see how that all shakes out. I think DeVries seems very much like he's like an intentional like team builder driver. Like they were like I'm really hopeful for AlphaTauri because I think that's actually a really smart move on their part to hire a driver with a little bit who's like a little older, who's used to like building really good relationships with the teams that he works on.
Yeah. And
But
since
it
he's
will
a little bit
also
older,
be
he like knows who he is.
I think it's also going to be very much like a proving ground for Yuki, because if Yuki can't keep up, then what is his place in that team?
Yeah, I think if Yuki does not beat him this year, Yuki's gone.
Yeah, and
As
that
much as I
brings
love
us
him,
to the Oscar Piastri of it all with Lando, where it's like if Oscar kills it, Lando doesn't look as incredible as he's looked. And I think Lando is incredible. I'm a Lando girly now. But either he that struggles and everyone is like, oh, maybe Daniel Ricciardo was onto something, or he really keeps up with Lando and then we're all like, maybe that McLaren isn't as bad as we thought it was. Yeah. Maybe that's all an act from Lando to make us feel bad for him, but I don't think it is.
Yeah, I was about to say, I think it's going to have a significant impact on how everybody views Daniel and Daniel's kind of like legacy at McLaren. Yeah. Because if Lando is roundly beating Piastri just as much, I think people are gonna have second thoughts about Daniel's time at McLaren.
Yeah, I agree.
And if Oscar Piastri is keeping up with Norris, I think it's going to be even a stronger indictment of just how much Daniel is struggling.
Yeah.
It will be interesting.
I mean, there's a lot to look forward to next year.
Yes, always.
And I'm sure we'll find, I think maybe our future episodes, we should consume some Formula One content and talk about it. Maybe watch some races and do race reviews or something. I don't know. What do you think?
I've started slowly going through the early races from this past year since we weren't watching them live.
Yeah.
And I haven't actually watched them before. So we could like pick out a couple races.
Yeah. I like that idea. If dear listener, you have some ideas, send us an email at wedon'tknowwheelf1@gmail.com. We'll take your suggestions into consideration.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And it doesn't have to just be this year, it could be any year.
Yeah. Because I think we both have been told we need to watch the Senna documentary.
Yes, we have.
It's on our list. Don't worry.
We're working on it.
Yeah.
Maybe that should be our next podcast. We both watch the Senna documentary and we talk about it.
We should watch it when I'm home for the holidays.
Yeah, I'm recording
Yeah,
an
then we
episode
can talk about
in
it.
the same room together.
Yeah. Okay. I'm in. Um, well, thanks for joining us for our superlatives episode. Write in and tell us what superlatives you thought the driver should have gotten, or if you have your own superlative that you think is better than the ones we assigned, let us know. We'd love to hear from you.
Hopefully next year we can get fans to submit superlatives ahead of time for us.
Yes, this will be
That'd be
our
fun.
annual superlative episode.
Oh yeah, definitely needs to be an annual thing. Well, thanks for joining us, everyone.
Yeah, and don't forget, we don't know wheel.